Impressive. Honestly, this method is one of the most powerful I've used for propagating fruit trees. Today we're going to do it with fig, but this works exactly the same for any fruit tree or any woody branch you want to propagate. This is called the Magno method, and that's no coincidence. It's called that because in ancient Macedonia, farmers used pieces of cane filled with river sand to propagate cuttings, in a way very similar to what I'm going to show you today. The difference is that today we're going to do it with modern materials so that anyone can apply it at home. It's a very clean, very efficient method, and now I'm going to show it to you, step by step, so pay attention because we're starting. And if you have any questions about something, ask in the comments. Normally, when we make a traditional cutting, whether it's a simple cutting, an air layering, or any other classic method, in the end, we get a single plant. With this method, we have the possibility of getting several plants from a single branch without spending more money, without sacrificing more branches, and without complications. From the same branch, we can obtain several sections, and each section ends up becoming an independent fruit tree. Before preparing the cutting, we're going to start by preparing the tube. In this case, I'm going to use a garden hose like the ones we have in the yard. You can use other types of materials, even polyethylene hose. Any of those are valid. But this material is very good because it's flexible and much easier to work with. Here, what we're trying to do is replace the cane because some people don't have access to cane, but they do have access to a hose. Yes. You can go to any store, or you probably have a piece lying around the house, in the garden, or on the farm. That's why we use modern materials, so that everyone can replicate this method. The thickness of the hose doesn't matter. Half an inch, a quarter, whatever you have. Today we're going to do it with a relatively small piece, about 20 centimeters long. First we plug one end with electrical tape or adhesive tape, wrapping it several times, nice and tight, so it's well sealed. Now inside, we insert a small piece of cotton. That cotton needs to be all the way at the bottom, pressed against the plug. You can push it in with a rod or a pencil. There's a very simple explanation for this. We need drainage, but without letting the sand escape. Before adding the sand, we create the drainage. In the bottom plug, we make a small hole in the center, right where the cotton is. Now we add the sand. It can be river sand, silica sand, or washed sand. Any sand will work, but ideally it should be washed to avoid bacteria or fungi. We fill the tube, but not all the way to the top. We leave a small gap at the top. Now we're going to prepare the irrigation water. 1 liter of water and a teaspoon of hydrogen peroxide, the same kind you have in your first aid kit. This is done to disinfect the water and prevent future fungus problems. We water the tube slowly, letting the sand get well hydrated. When we see that a little water starts to drain from the bottom hole, we stop. If needed, we dry the tip, and now we make the second plug at the top. With this, we now have a perfect simulation of a cane filled with moist sand, ready to use. Now we make a lengthwise cut along the top of the tube from end to end. We don't split it, we just open it. This is so we can place the cutting inside. Now let's move on to the cutting. In this case, it's a fig tree, but I repeat, this works for any fruit tree or woody branch. We clean the cutting, remove any leaves if there are any, and make sure it's well sanitized. The cutting needs to be a length that matches the hose. Now we make a longitudinal cut about 3 to 5 millimeters wide, remove the bark from that strip, and then scrape the cambium until the wood is clean. This is key, because that's where the roots will come out from. Once it's clean, we apply aloe vera to all the wounds and cuts. Aloe hydrates, disinfects, and provides natural phytohormones. Next, we coat that area with powdered cinnamon, another classic on the channel, to prevent fungi and bacteria. With this, the cutting is ready. Now we place the cutting in the propagator. The entire cut area must be in direct contact with the moist sand. We close the hose and secure the cutting tightly so it doesn't move. We use ties, zip ties, string, or whatever you have. It's essential that there is contact between the cutting and the sand. Now we're going to prepare a very simple natural antifungal preventative. We take a liter of water and add a pinch of powdered cinnamon. Stir well and filter it with a fine cloth so there are no residues left. We pour it into a spray bottle and use it to spray the entire cutting, the top of the tube, and any exposed area. This step is important because when working with high humidity, we prevent the appearance of fungi and greatly increase the chances of success. Now we put it in a transparent or translucent bag or in a Tupperware container. Both options are valid. And here comes a critical part that you need to understand. This isn't done just for the sake of it. A cutting, if it doesn't have the environmental humidity it needs, will dehydrate very quickly. In a couple of days, it stops being viable. That's why it's essential. Create a greenhouse effect, whether with a bag or with a Tupperware container. This is the first point where people fail. They try to do it without a greenhouse and the cutting dehydrates. The second point where people fail is not applying the natural preventive. We are exposing a branch to very high humidity, and if we don't apply fungicide, the probability of fungus skyrockets. That's why these two steps are mandatory if you want the method to work. Once everything is closed up, we move the cutting to a place with indirect light, never direct sunlight, because dehydration will shoot up. Additionally, I recommend doing this method during the waning moon. Many people with experience in the field know that during the waning moon, the sap goes down and rooting is greatly encouraged. The roots tend to be thicker, stronger, and of better quality. Maintenance is very simple. Every 3 or 4 days, we open the bag or the container and spray with the natural cinnamon fungicide. There's no need to water the tube again. It's very rare for the sand to dry out, right? Also, with the spraying, the humidity is perfectly maintained. We close it again and leave it alone. And finally, we have the result. After 6 to 8 weeks, we will start to see roots. White, clean, strong roots all along the worked area. At that moment, we can divide the cutting, making sure to respect the buds. Each section with roots becomes a new fig tree, and this same method works for practically any fruit tree. In this case, once the cutting is fully rooted, what we're going to do now is divide it. Here, for example, I'm going to split it into 3 pieces, making sure that in each one the aerial part is above and the buds are exposed. Now we use an active pot, according to the size of the cutting, with an airy substrate that drains well and is rich in organic matter. We place each section, burying it approximately halfway. Even if you don't see any active buds at that moment, it's okay. Many times what happens is that the roots come out first and shortly after, the buds start to sprout. In no time at all, from a single branch, we end up with several new fruit trees, completely free, using the Magno method. And that's it for this wonderful method. A very effective, very reliable technique that, as you've seen, works for practically any fruit tree or woody plant you want to propagate. If this method has been helpful to you, I would really appreciate it if you gave the video a like, because that helps it reach more people. Share it as well with someone you know who likes plants, gardening, or propagation, because it will surely be useful to them. Let me know in the comments which plant or fruit tree you're going to try it with. And also, tell me where you're watching from, because that helps other people discover this video. And if you want to keep learning simple and effective methods like this one, a big hug, and I'll see you in the next one.